Do we get like the... Hi everyone, welcome to North Bay's ref review. This is our head ref, Darcy Wallingford. You'll see him on November 30th at our tournament. We have teams from Manitoulin, Sudbury, and Huntsville that are streaming in right now, watching us. Darcy's going to do a quick overview of the rules this year and just to clarify any questions. Once he's done that, then any of the teams can come up and get some expert advice. We also have a veteran project coach with us today, so if anybody has project or core values questions, then Amanda's here to help you with that. I'll give it to you, Darcy.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
All right, good luck.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for attending, and those of you online, live, thanks for attending. I'm going to talk about a couple things. I'm going to give an explanation of the field, and then we're going to go through the missions, and then we'll have some miscellaneous items and any questions, because there's always lots of miscellaneous items. First loves to give you 5 rules and then let you read between the lines. So from that standpoint, you really want to be knowing everything about the game. Primarily about the field, they've changed, those of you that are veteran teams, they've changed the field this year. It's a shorter field, but what they've included is a home, a launch, and the actual main mat. So the interesting part of anything off to the side, on this side, is home. There are no tables beside the fields anymore. It is everything comes into the field onto the actual table itself. So on the table. You also have, you look really closely, there's a little red dot here, and that's the difference between the large home, the large inspection area and the small inspection area. And the reason why that's important is there's 2 things about the large inspection area and the small inspection area. The small inspection area, which falls into this category, everything must fit that you bring to the table must fall into this category. You'll get 5 bonus points for every mission that you accomplish if all of your pieces fit into the small inspection area. Again, if you do this and you keep all your pieces, oops, really that's the cable, and it fits inside the small inspection area, you're fine to start. You check with the referee, yes, you're inside the small inspection area. You get 5 points for every mission that you accomplish. Once you've done that, you can now expand out all the way to the home section. Okay? The next section we'll talk, it's a category, this launch area. Again, inside the black line on the corner, up to this wall. Okay? Your robot must launch from this section every time and be completely inside the inspection area, or sorry, the launch area. It can't have pieces sticking out past it. Must be completely inside, and once again, has a 12-inch height. 12-inch height. Okay, you can't be 4 feet in the air to come out and expand out into the fields. Okay, so that part of it, and it's not this advertisement on the part, it's the smaller section. The other new part this year is your robot coming back in doesn't return to the launch area, it actually returns to home. Anywhere past this line on home, your robot comes back in, returns to home, completely in home, you get to keep, you score your points. Okay? So it's a little different. Another little side rule about this is returning, is if your robot is returning and you're bringing back a piece, if it is completely in home, but your robot is not in home, you will keep the piece, but the robot will you'll lose what's called a precision penalty. they've changed from touch penalties to precision penalties. And I'll try not to jump around, but on that, precision penalties are over here. Again, similarly to past years, you have 6 precision penalties. What first changed this year again on a rule about precision penalties is that you get 6. For the first interruption of their robot or not returning to home, you lose 1 precision penalty, 15 points. For the second interruption, once again, you lose 15 points. So you have 2 precision points you've lost, but you've caught from 60 down to 30. If I've done my math correctly. You're out half. Even though you still have 4 precision penalties remaining, you're down more points. Okay. For new teams, what to bring to the field? Primarily, your robot and any attachments that you need that will fit into either the small inspection area or the large inspection area. If you can't fit everything to the small inspection area and you have to go to the large inspection area, that's okay. It's all just, you may not be able to do it the first time, you might be able to do it the second time. It's a matter of reorganizing, but once again, 1 robot to every match. It's 1 match, all your attachments, everything must fit into one of these areas here. Once they're brought in, you can spread it out. How did I define? Yes?
Do the pieces, like the building pieces, count as part, does that all need to fit in the small inspection area too, or that's separate from what?
No, they have nothing, just your what you bring in.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there a height in the small inspection area?
Same as all the way across is 12 inches,
Okay.
30.5 centimeters. So they've given us the two dimensions. So, but that's your max height on that. Need to fold however you can do it. Have the students be creative. We love to see that. We're going to look at that, and it's this little red dot here. Everybody's got one on their field. Very important. Again, returning to base is really what the other part. Any other questions regards to field? Okay.
In the rules, it says that the mat can be taped along the black edge.
Yes.
At the home position. Will that be at the tournament?
We won't know till how we stick the fields. As you can see, both fields are a little different. This one has a painted, these mats, this one's not painted. Each field, expect your field to be different than the competition field. We try not to, first asked us, try not to tape the field, because we're trying not to, but if we have to tape the field, we will tape it along the black line, and it'll be like electrical tape, and it'll hold that down, and we'll match that. Past years, we have taped them. We've tried to hold as best we can so that it doesn't interfere with the launching. Okay? So but again, different from last year's, there is no wall for you to launch off.
Can you launch from home?
No,
In the home position?
you must launch completely inside the launch area. So the key is completely inside. So again, you can't be sticking out the front, you can't be sticking out the back. And first, another change with the launching, while we're talking about launch area. If you build a jig, your jig must be completely inside the launch area. And when you launch your robot, you cannot have your hand on the jig. You must remove your hand off the jig and push the button.
Once the robot's launched, then can you grab your jig?
As soon as the robot leaves the launch area, you can take your jig out, move it to the home. You can move your home. Your home is very similar to how you did with your box last year. Those are the teams I had last year that had a table beside that. Your home is your own area. You can do as many things as you want. The interesting thing about this year is they have quite a few devices that are fairly loose and is movable. If you balance something, let's see if I can balance it. Oops. There we go. If you bump the table, of course, it will activate. You will lose points. So they're really big about bumping. Remember, these two tables are attached now, so what you're seeing is the configuration is both fields in competition mode. So similarly, the bridge between the two is a join. They will be solid. If you bend one side of the table, you can see how stuff will move. So precision, this year's keyword is precision. They want to make sure you're precision, and over, don't touch anything. Because once again, we only score at the end of the match. After 2.5 minutes, that's when we commence scoring. So if you've accomplished something and it falls, similarly on the elevator, and it falls back before the end of the match, we won't give any points for it. Okay, more questions regards to the fields? Yes?
Just, so we have like teams of technicians of 2. So when they switch off, when the kids, so the robot has to come right up to home, and then the next group can grab it and put it in launch and get it set up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
My next question is, it says 4 motors max. Can
Yes.
they have separate attachments can we have more motors like in our attachment parts, but only attached to the robot is 4? Or is it 4 total, including the attachments,
4 connected to your robot
at any given time?
at any given
But
time.
we can switch them out.
You could switch them out. Again, you only have 2,
I believe you can only take 4 up to the table.
4 to the table, yes, at the
Yes,
table.
so you can only take 4 up there with you.
Regardless of
They
if.
could, 2 could be on your robot and 2 could be on attachments.
But on
I'm
the 4
pretty
max.
sure that,
Okay.
yes, you can swap them
Double check that.
outside and
I'll
stuff.
double check on
But to verify, I'm pretty sure you're only allowed to take 4 out there.
I'll check that on the quick little.
Just
Four.
4 total.
Four
no matter which
total.
one.
total.
No matter what.
Okay.
Yeah,
And our team
Yeah, you
last
can't have
year
like
was
10 and
very-
4
But that's why
on
I'm
row.
just curious
Yeah.
if we could
Yeah,
switch,
it's-
like how
it's
we
good to
switch
know.
if it's the
Yes.
motor or
And it'd be
the.
cool, I've
Yeah.
never seen
And
it.
our team last year, we had 2 driving teams, so match 1, driving team 1 did it. And
Oh,
then,
I see,
and
okay.
then the other 2 did the attachment, and then in the next round, like the next competition, the other 2 kids did it. And it
Okay.
just leads for unity, so, and then they just practice over and over and over again, and then we let 2 other kids do it, so we only had 4 kids that wanted to drive on our
Okay.
team, so we made 2 teams of 2, because they know how to read each other.
Right.
And then we would do 1 competition, 2 kids, 1 was the attachments, 1 was the driver, and then in the next competition, like the next round, then we switched. 1 kid was,
Okay.
as opposed to switching halfway in between,
Right.
because it's
Do you have
really all
teams
down
of-
to the time. I
Yeah,
guess.
okay. Okay,
Yeah,
no,
yeah, like-
that's
And
no.
if I'm right, as soon as they hit launch, then your 2 drivers can switch.
yes.
You don't have to wait till the robot to come
No.
back.
You can switch
Oh, I
it
see, they
any,
can get, and so they can
Yes.
touch anything at, in
Yeah.
home
Yeah.
at any time, it's
Yeah,
just
they
not
can-
in launch.
yes.
No, it's
Once,
not.
the only thing you can touch it during launch area is, once it's, if you have a jig, is the alignment, is the start button.
Yeah, okay.
After that, your robot its own, you can switch out, they can switch positions, run back in, that's fine, again, caution them that they come right up to the table. And if they jump that, it will move your robot, it will do a little different. One of the things we were looking at is expect your field not to be the same as the competition field. Really, really important. Those of you, I'm not sure if you can see from the camera, and I'll try and slide it underneath, is those of you here can see that the bridges don't line up exactly. So, and that's just, these are 2 fields that look fairly close, but reality is that, you know, they're even farther off. So expect your field to have a little nuances. Again, another important fact, if you look at both elevators, technically they look very similar and we've left them. But this elevator on this field is the correct setup. If you look over on this one, even though the colorations are correct, it's actually on the other. That's the starting position. But the finished position can be here or here, but with the blue cube on the bottom. So the blue cube starts at the top, and then when you're finished, it'll either be level or the blue will be down. So we'll watch that. It won't impact your game at all. It's just if you notice that the field looks different at the competition than yours, and I've had teams come up to me and say, sure, come on in, that, hey, your field isn't right, this isn't how it looks, and that's okay. you know, we will look at that, we'll look at compare, we will double check our fields. We're usually building 4 or 5 of them a year, so we're pretty good with, we believe, with the proper detail.
And if I'm correct, it is up to the team, if there's something incorrect on the table when you get there, it is up to the team to point it out to the
Yes.
referee before the match starts.
Yes.
The team being the students.
Yes.
Right, right, you have
Yeah.
that minute beforehand where they can
Yeah.
say.
Yes, and if they would like something tested, the students can be more than welcome to come meet, and not just the head ref, but any ref, and say, can you verify whether this swings correctly, whether this moves, this doesn't look down, can you verify that this, they've done a really good job this year of not having a whole lot of spinning moving parts. Past years, you push something and you would push it and it wouldn't activate. And then we'd go after the fact and we'd go to push the, and it wouldn't move. So we checked that, we have a crew that actually comes in and does field reset, and we come through and double check that all the pieces are in place. Sometimes we can forget, we can forget. Good, all right, there we go, ready to go. But if we forget to put it down, again, it's a combination that we're trying to be accommodating. Again, we will have, there's no video evidence. And what I mean by that is that it'll be the discretion of the referee. If there's a concern regarding how the match was scored, you have the right to approach the referee. If you're not satisfied with the answer or doesn't come satisfied, you have the ability to talk to the head referee. At every event, there is a head referee, and they will have the say. Again, one of the most important things that we talk about in LEGO is benefit of the doubt. We will always try to have the teams err on benefit of the doubt. So the scoring will be always in as well as we can to the benefit of the doubt. Okay, any more questions regards fields? So we've covered what to bring, what not to bring. Again, if you're talking about motors, it says 4 motors, I can verify that. The concern you have is, remember, you only have 2.5 minutes. If you're changing a motor on a device, you've got to be awfully quick to have that. And again, you can't touch it till it returns. Like, once it's in base, then you can touch it, but you've got that time frame to change the motor if you need to. 2.5 minutes comes awfully quick.
And while that's robots running, they can touch everything at home as much as they want.
Yes.
And can they touch in the launch area?
No. Launch area is like, well, you can remove your jig,
Yeah.
but you cannot go back into the
You
field.
can't like start setting up your tower.
No. Only till the robot returns in,
Yeah.
then they must start the launch. Then they can
Then
launch.
they can start.
The launch area has become the field. So it is a separate. As you return to the launch area, you return to home. Don't return to the launch area. You return to the launch area. That's precision point penalty because you haven't returned to home. Different from past years. Past years you return to your launch area. This year you launch and again touch your robot, launch it out.
Yeah, I just want to drill this one home because this is so different from last year. So for example, if you're doing the crane mission, you can come over here. But do you see that? I hit the blocks and I'm not completely in.
Yep.
So if I grab that robot, he's gonna grab one of those little red cookies over there.
Yep.
But I'm allowed to move these while the robot's driving, so now I'm legal.
Yeah.
But anywhere past this line, which is so different than last year, and I even see all kinds of YouTube videos and everybody's still returning to there.
Returning. It's that. And you can do this. You can take all your pieces.
While the robot is coming back, as it's coming back, you can have your
You can be doing whatever you
just
want.
push it out of the way.
Yeah.
Push it out of the way as fast as
So
you
the
can.
kids can touch anything at home at any time, don't
Anytime.
on the
Yes.
table,
It's,
but anytime, and they can come back, because we've
Yes.
been coming back to launch too. We haven't been-
Yeah, everybody has, like, we gotta reinforce that and tell every team we know,
you
'cause
know that it's important that we're trying to make it as enjoyable as possible and everybody's as successful as possible.
So they have to launch from launch, can't touch it once they press the button, but can
Yes.
touch anything at home at any time, and must return to home.
it's completely to home.
Yes.
If the jig is in launch, we
That's-
can leave the jig in launch the
If you'd like.
entire tournament and just keep reusing it?
Yeah, yeah, just remember though, if your jig is sitting here and your robot's coming back,
You can't touch it. That's where you come in, because you gotta get the
you
home,
can,
right?
when you launch it is when you're gonna remove your jig. So, but if it's coming back, I gotta take that out, what happens?
You make a decision, but you can remove it before you push the launch button.
Yeah.
Alright.
They're ready to go, your jig's in set, your jig's set, you're set, remove your jig, launch your robot,
Okay.
okay? That's the time you have to remove it. If you leave it there, and you can leave it there, but make sure that you're coming, all your return robot is always out past it, or vice versa, however you line up. But again, your jig must be completely inside the launch area, and if it's launched and it's sitting on there, it's sitting out, and then you miss that, and you launch it again, once again, that's a precision penalty because you're launching outside. Different from past years is you had a wall. Again, there was teams last year that did this as well. Your jig must be completely inside the launch area. People put it on a wall, so it always stayed sure. And first said, no, you must now be inside. Now, the black line is included, so you get all the way to the outside of any black line. Similar with the circles, you get the outside of the circle. Okay, so anything that are dropping in. So again, your jig, if you use the jig, it must be completely in. And those from the top can see that it's, I'm hanging out even though the flag's out. So if this were my jig.
So just to clarify,
Yes.
one more thing. So,
Yes.
if the kids have multiple attachments, the robot goes out and they come back and they wanna switch the attachment, can that happen in the white launch area like previous, or it has to happen in home where the wood is?
Has to be all where the home is.
Okay.
Okay.
And then they're allowed to
Well-
start building their stacks while the robot's
You can swap attachments in launch if you're
Launch?
preparing for
Yes.
launch. You
Yes.
can swap attachments in launch.
Once your robot returns to home, this now becomes your whole area, because you're part of the launch area. But once you launch, you have to be completely clear. This is now becomes a separate, you line it up, have your jig, hands off the jig. The only thing you can touch, and if you take your jig out, take your jig out. If you're gonna leave your jig, start the launch. Okay?
But it comes in, it's gonna come back multiple times though, so that's gonna end up happening in home, not in launch.
The return always must return to home. Okay. This is, anything past this line, again, small inspection area, large inspection area, it doesn't matter. Home is your area, build whatever you want, get preset. Again, if you're building something to push out, you can have that all built together and have it ready. So when on this side, have it ready built,
In your home section.
your home section. Your robot returns, you pick it up, put it in, line it up, and away you go. So that's all part of that. So home is similarly to how you had last year, the table beside where that's all yours. Again, you can switch anytime you want, as fast as you want, as many times as you want. Again, 2.5 minutes, so it comes in a hurry. Okay? Any more questions, field? Move on to missions. My favorite mission. Mission 1 is the extended places, otherwise known as the bridge. Otherwise known from first as Robot Wars. So they're pretty excited about that. There's 2 items on the bridge. There is the flags that must be activated by your robot. Right? And the second part is, in order to score the flag, your robot must be on the bridge. Doesn't remain on the bridge. It must, at the end of the match, when we score, your robot must be on the bridge.
For the points of raising the flags
Raising
to
the flags.
count.
Yeah, you get, so, again, the back of my robot, it's not on the bridge, doesn't score. Flags, points won't score. Again, not fully supported by the bridge, or not supported by the bridge, if I take the tree away, my robot would fall. So, but anywhere on that bridge will lock. One of the interesting rules they came out with is that you cannot block. So you can't, in similarly, as I'm looking at this robot that has a little piece that falls in the back, I cannot lock my robot in. You notice how that is, that I cannot lock that lock mechanism on the bottom. I can't use that to hold it in, to hold, so if I'm here and I locked in, somebody coming the other direction can't. It can only be the weight of your robot versus the weight of their robot. Anybody that's coming through the middle must be activated, must launch and hold that position. And it's one or more flags, again, but they fully expects at the end of a match, if somebody's sitting up there and the other team comes across, they're fully expecting them to come up the other side. And if collision happens, again, they remind teams to build your robot robustly so that it's going to possibly fall, hold. It can happen. Any questions regarding mission 1?
So if you don't initiate any flags, you still get 20 points for being on the bridge.
If if your robot is sitting on the bridge, no flags activated, yes. Get the points.
How far can the other team come onto the bridge?
Anywhere on the bridge at all.
They can go all the way over,
I
just
can
not
go-
onto the mat on the other side, but they can go all the way down the ramp on the other side.
Yeah, they could actually, technically, they could go all the way across and come right to there.
And so would they still, or we still score points for being on the bridge?
They would score points for on the bridge. If you're not on the bridge, then of course. But if they're there, it makes it difficult for you to get on the bridge.
That's what I'm saying, like, we're permitted to do that as the other team.
You, yes.
But we would still score bridge points.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it stops them from scoring bridge points, and flag points, certainly.
Now, something to note though, if you knock off or do anything on their side of the field, like disturb one of their game elements, especially the tree is really close, you knock something over as you're coming over onto their side, they automatically get those points.
Gotcha.
So if you're driving over, because it's a
So-
collision, they've done this, right? Say they have that. And your robot comes onto their side, falls over, knocks that out. They will get points for that. You won't get any points for, again, you will have no bridge points because you're not supported by the bridge anymore. You're supported partially by the tree.
We were just trying to understand if there's a risk, if you eliminate the risk of not scoring bridge points by not going to the flags, but it sounds like not, because they can come all the way.
Anybody can come over the way, they can drive across. Okay, again, your robot must raise the flag.
But again, the risk is the same too. If they drive across into your side, that risk of them knocking your stuff off of the tree, you automatically get those points too. So there's kind of a balance there of you go onto their side, they go onto your side. There's a lot of risk both ways.
Yes. And don't be surprised that at 2 minutes and 20 seconds, there's 2 robots going up the bridge. So, and, you know, they've wanted to make a lot of it as being as exciting as possible, and it is going to be exciting. You have 2 robots approaching the bridge at the same time. Again, it's all on measured program distance. So if you're going up, and both teams are going for the flag, who's ever got the stronger robot or heavier robot will win. Any more questions on mission 1?
Is there gonna be something to stop them at 2:30? Because what if somebody keeps going at 2:40, 2:45?
We're going
Who's
to
gonna-
monitor that, whether we know, again, as a referee, our decision is that at that point, if we have to walk through and move up, and reach in quickly and grab one at 2 minutes, like as soon as the buzzer goes, and we've asked Heather and the committees, make sure it's a really loud buzzer for like the end of the match, because we want to make sure, first we want to limit damage, because if something comes over, if we can stop at 2 minutes and 5 seconds, and it's 2 minutes 35 seconds, and it's about to fall off, we can pick that up. Okay, again, your technicians, if they think that something, your robot's running amok at the end, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, we can stop that. They can ask to have that stop. Also, if your robot,
Is that you stopping or them stopping it if they're asking to have stop?
they can ask to stop it. They can stop it, or they can ask a referee to stop. Most of our referees
Yeah.
have a lot more length. I'm not sure how many students can reach a robot in that distance without jumping across.
And we can stop it, and you don't lose a point.
You lose a point.
But if you grab it and bring it back to your home, if you leave it on the mat, you won't lose any points. But if you grab it and bring it back to home at the last 30 seconds, like in that last minute,
Yes, if you ask
Like
the
last
referee to stop it,
seconds.
we will stop the robot and it sits for the remaining time frame. They're done, their competition's done. But the sort of that match is done for them, okay?
you could grab it if we stopped it at the end. You could grab it and bring it back, but you would lose.
Then we'll pick up another interruption point. So, but if you're, like I said, if you've got something, the robot's in here somewhere, and you're thinking you've activated this and it's, it's getting caught or it's doing some damage, or it's gonna run some of your, into some of these pieces, it's often better to stop it. But a lot of teams, I like to think that there'd be a lot of teams that will just, at the end of a match, just leave your robot there, drive it onto the bridge, drive it wherever.
Something about in like the last 10 seconds, 2 robots going up there. Both of the refs on both sides will be watching. So the buzzer goes and both the robots are at that state. They would both get the 20 points. They may smack into each other after the buzzer goes, but it's not really gonna affect anything scoring wise, because you're both gonna get the 20 points for being on the bridge. Nobody's really gonna get the flag points unless you did something earlier on or something like that. That's just kind of the case that it'll likely happen, is that there'll be at that point, there'll be carnage and everybody go, ah, but it won't actually be major.
So, say we're at 220 and both robots are on the bridge. Can one swipe and knock the other one off? Because it doesn't say anything about.
It's robot wars. You could knock the other one off, you could let it go. Again, we're not going to touch unless somebody, but we can't stop. If your robot's climbing on the bridge, you can't ask us to stop it. We have to let that go, because that's in the process of scoring. If your robot is just back here, and you'd like us to stop it there, and you're done, because there is no difference in scoring other than it may de-score you. But because this is an actual, on the bridge is a scoring action, because you must maintain that. If your robot's going up, we can't stop it at 2 minutes and 20 seconds, because at 2 minutes and 25 seconds, it starts to fall off the bridge. So we have to let that play out. Okay? How are we on that bridge? Everybody like that bridge? Everybody excited about that? I'm excited about the bridge. I can't wait. I'm hoping to see some carnage. My other favorite word. So on mission 2 is the crane. Again, any motion on that, you'll be able to turn it, but it's the lowering and even if it's just a smidge, as long as we can show, because we will lock up that as tight.
It's up.
Here we go, sorry, wrong way. But if you're, again,
If you just go by and you just tap it just a little bit and it
Just a
drops
little
just a
bit?
little bit, that counts.
that counts.
So any distance means any distance.
Any distance.
Even the smallest to
Yes.
the largest.
Again, you can have the other cube moved in, slide it over, drop it on. Of course, my aim isn't that good. I'm sure your aim will be better. Again, they'll score more points for for putting it on the second level. Again, but it's not, again, to elevate, to raise the cube, to lower the cube, is just a matter of touching that. First was really good again. In the programming, first is giving you programming for the crane. They've given lots of options how to build, how to activate the crane.
They've got building instructions for your robot design to be able to complete that mission, and they have the code to be able to complete that mission as well, all online.
On the first webpage for everybody. So something they want people to try that one, they want people to be successful. Okay, any questions in regards to the crane? Okay. The inspection drone. Okay. Let's see if I help you with this.
It's on the ground behind you.
Oh,
It flew away.
okay, again, the inspection drone needs to be on axle A. Okay? Only that axle must be delivered from there. So it's there, must be delivered to that one. Not to the tree, not to the flag, to the crane, only to axle B to score points. Okay? Again, one of the ones. Again, watch your setup, how they're building the pieces. You can build this lengthwise versus width. Again, so that's what if you look at one suddenly it's like, why does ours look a little different? It should be roughly square on that. Again, mission 4 is designed for wildlife. The bat must be hanging on the tree.
It says B branch, right? So
Yes.
it's a specific branch.
This is B branch. The brown is the B branch. So again, that's not scoring because technically he's not hanging. Again, that's not on B branch. So specifically B branch. Okay. The treehouse. So the mission 5 is both units, any combination of units dropped into loading onto the tree. Again, complicated, but again, you can make it fit and balance, you can put it in. Apparently, that's how you can score the most points in the competition if you stack this really, really high.
But is that 3 units or 1 unit there, the white one?
The white one is 2 units. It's a unit counted as per how it sits on flat. Again, if I'm looking on that side, if you have a
No, it's actually 1. So
one.
it's different in the
Those are
circles. The circles, it counts like height levels, but in the actual tree, it's just units as in pieces.
Pieces.
So if that white one is the same value as the red one, as the blue one in the tree.
Okay. Number 6, mission 6 is the traffic jam. Again, rover comes across, elevates the traffic jam. Clears the traffic, then move across. Okay. Again, depending on how stable yours is, it may be wobbly. Once it's up, I'm not sure if I know yesterday we were actually really easy to drop it. It dropped off quite frequently.
Something to note on that field, its walls are a little lower, and that's why that one has an easier time. If you come over and try it on this field,
It may or may not, but it should. No. Actually, it's better, more robust than I thought it was. Again, but remember, the mats themselves are not taped down. So if you taped your mat down, if you're lifting, you can see, I'm not sure from that angle, you can actually see that I'm lifting the mat. Similarly. So other than, as we were discussing earlier, the only location that we are allowed to tape is across the home line. And we will tape it just a thin black tape just to hold that on the home side. Mission 7, the swing. Here, you activate the swing, she's free. She's free to play. Once she's free, swings, return to home, score your points. Again, the elevator, we talked briefly about the elevator once again. Mission 8 is, as we were saying, the brown, if you built your elevator a little incorrectly, this one is not correct, but it is in the correct position. You will rotate, and need a better robot to build it than level. That scores, as well as that scores. Okay, so again, the cubes are opposite, but that's how the score. Again, if you're looking at the robot, look at the white little cubes at the front of the elevator. They must face home.
There's actual markings on the mat for those little white pieces on the front, so that you can put it on the mat correctly and you'll see the orientation.
Mission 9 is the safety factor. As you're lowering these cubes, the supports, it can only be supported by the beams. If you're lowering them out, you can take as many as you want out, with it still technically supporting the building. Questions on that?
How far down do the beams have to be?
Doesn't matter. Only it doesn't.
As long as they're no longer touching the,
touching the base. So as soon as they're down, if they're
So what if they're all down and it's sitting on top of all the beams?
I believe if you knock them all down, you can't. It sits on metal. So if you knock them all down,
it can only be touching the blue.
As long as it's being supported by the blue beams.
But would this count?
yes, because it's space.
But is that 60 points, or is that 20 points, or is that?
That would be because because that would be your max points because you would knock all of them down if you left these up still.
So as long as it's resting on blue beams, all 6 can be down.
Yes. Yep. So it's if you can get it to that combination, or other combinations, because there's lots of different combinations. We've seen some.
Does it matter how you get there?
Nope.
Okay.
Doesn't matter as long as it's the robot that's doing it. It's not my hand doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really doesn't matter how you do it. Any questions regarding safety factor? Steel construction, again, you're just erecting steel structure, lifting, elevating, any way that you can. Again, we will look at this because we want to make sure that if your robot, we're going to monitor this, see how it's down, but it's actually not in the position. Now it's in the correct position. So if it must be square level on the side, and if you're building your screen, so when it lifts up, it goes down. Not like that, unless I messed that up, but it has to be in that lock position and then elevated up. The innovation architecture. So it's build your own. My favorite. That you're building your own piece, which now it can be at any size as long as it's larger than a 4 cube. So if we're looking at this, we're kind enough to have 2 teams that have built 2. And how do we get the other one? And I love this one. They've done a wonderful job. That's pretty spectacular. Again, larger than a 4 cube. This one here, I'm not sure if you'll see that on the camera, but I have a problem with that.
Anybody pose questions?
Oh, it's not larger?
It's not larger than a 4 cube.
And it's taller than a 4
It's
cube.
taller.
It's
than-
taller,
Oh.
but it's not larger than a 4 cube.
Can I take a picture of each of those, or?
Sure,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, so again, it's, we'll look at that one, but again, the base must be larger than a 4 cube.
You're
Already neat.
saying the width and the length needs to be larger,
Larger, yeah.
but not the height.
Height could be, again, as tall as you want.
But
A little bit-
can the height be less than it? Like it's,
Yeah, if you're wide, if you're, you know, you could have it that size. So you could have just it was something built something like that, but it must be so bigger than a 4 cube studded. Score one or the other. The blue cube is a 4 stud, so it's just a structure, random structure to build, and you move it to any circle.
Yeah. It's different point values whether it's completely in the circle or partially in the circle.
Can it be on top of one of your stacks?
Yes.
I thought this, the
Well,
lines penetrate up, straight up, right, for
Yeah,
infinity?
Infinity, and you can have it anywhere, and if you want to have it on something else, you betcha. If you're moving these circles to stacks to there, again, it has to be inside. Of course, this makes an example. Let's score. Okay, so taking that, put it to there. You really want to go that way. There are closer circles, so I like that. Okay, any more questions with regards to 11? Design and build. Now you're going to talk about the color, all these cubes that we have. You got red, you got brown.
Blue,
Blue,
white.
and white, yeah. You can color match your circles. Red circle, brown circle, white circle. You can color match them. You also get points for levels. So, again, your level can be any combination. Of course. Again, your robot must push into a circle. If you're color matching, you can color match your circle as well as your height. You will get not just points for inside the circle, but on the edge of the circle, inside, as long as they're attached to the circle. Yes?
If you had a stack and the bottom was color matched with the circle, but the rest wasn't, would you still get the points for color matching?
Color match.
Yes.
Yes.
The color, online is that you can actually go online where all the rest of the information is. You can actually see the scoring sheets that the referees use, which is the same as what if we have an iPad or just a piece of paper. This exact same scoring sheet. There's no points on there. It's just we go through, check all the circles, and go, okay, you have color match here, yes, here, yes, here, yes. You have 3 color matched, circle the 3,
But
and you automatically get those points.
But isn't it color matched by the base up so many levels? So in this
It's just
scenario-
whether there's a color matching
match.
in the
Yeah.
circle.
We're
Well,
not,
but in the updates, in the updates that came out, right, this would be 10, 20, 25, 30 points, right?
yes.
As
What?
opposed
No,
to,
5, 10.
as opposed this way,
5 points per level.
I don't know, but if it's a color match, sorry, I'm,
No,
sorry,
color match is scored once with
Once.
one touch in the base.
but if you look at the updates, it's,
Yeah, I know, this is a good one to discuss,
Yes.
because there's a
So
lot
this-
of.
this
lot of
right
concerns
here-
in
this
one,
right
and I
here is
want
not
all
a
the
color
teams to
match.
be sure you understand the scoring.
that's not a color match because it's not down on the base.
Base. They
So
have to.
then these are 2 color matches and then 1 level of 5 points.
No, but you still get the color, you still get your points.
So this is
5,
10,
10,
10, 20,
25.
25, and then this is 30.
Yes. Yeah, and flat.
Again, we don't count based on points. So we count your stacks. We go 1, 2, 3, how many high, and we add them all together, and we put the number in, and that's it.
In
The system takes care of the rest of the scoring.
Yes.
in
But
the
it-
update, it's saying that it
have
counts
the-
by the color match levels and then the other levels.
But which one's flat on the map?
The
Yes.
color matched,
Matched.
right?
Yes.
And that's, I believe,
You get credit for
only
color.
once though.
No, I think it's per level that's color match.
No, that's a different, we should confirm this, but I believe
I have a question.
it's one of those.
With
Can you
Here, I got the updates right here.
build for that? Can you
Half the different scoring, right? Bridging and
So let's not worry about bridging, let's.
20 points, right?
But that 20
Yeah, but
points
the
is
color
stacked.
match, 10
Can
points
you
plus
do
2 levels of
this?
5.
No,
Yes.
That's
and
not-
then two
Yes.
bills?
because it says,
Like, would that be allowed to do this?
You can push that in, as long as you're in the circle, so you have two.
Yeah, I've had to go over this with many, many
Two.
times. So that's 2 levels of 5, right?
So that would count.
But how much
so this
points
one
would
right
that be?
here,
Does not get the color match.
You've only got 2 levels,
this is.
so then you have your accessories on top of that.
Yes, but it still shows it, so
Uh,
see
you
how
have to
this
look
one's
at
a
the
little over
actual
10
score
points,
sheet.
because it's 2
But
levels.
if you look at
But
that, that
this
would
one's
be
for 25, because it's
as,
bridged, so it's
1, 2, 3, 4,
5 levels, which is 25
completely
points.
in, and then
This
1,
one
2
here,
with the
but it's
color
only 5
match.
points, because
But
there's only
you're not
one level.
getting any sort of color matching in there.
Yes, you are getting color matching.
I'd have to look at the calculation.
No, but it has to be completely
Um,
in.
I have to look at the sheet.
So right here's.
That's what
completely
we're
color
doing
match.
for one of our
Right,
programs.
Yeah.
points.
But that's 10 for the color match, and 2 levels of 5 plus
You
5.
don't actually, the official score does the score, we just actually give the points to
Show you that.
the completions. So we will give you the,
Yeah, I know, this one's,
the 2 levels,
it's
2
really,
levels, 2 levels, because they're in completely with the color match
So-
on top.
And will we still get
so
points
they're
for both
color
of
match,
these?
right?
Yes, yeah, because they are
Color match
separate.
red,
Because
red
that's
stack,
what we're
2
doing
levels.
for one of our
So you get
programs.
10 plus,
Again, make sure that they're flat and make sure,
so it's
careful,
40.
see here, you have to be
So
sure
he's
that
not
the
giving
yellows
10 plus
aren't
10.
touching. See how that's, so if you were
10, 20,
right there, would be
No.
your.
No,
because those are
10 for the color match,
accessory is
5,
is
10,
not,
5, 10, 15, 20. So those are 2 different towers,
yeah,
right?
don't try to lock it.
It took me a lot to
If
figure
you're-
this out, but I
if you
think
push
I
this
got
out,
it.
we have to make sure that that's not,
Yeah.
because
Like
that becomes a bridge.
99%. We can
So you have to
confirm,
make sure that you're not.
we'll confirm with some
And
examples
that's
here.
fine, if we do
If you'd
this.
Because this one's,
Okay.
Because you
This-
get a lot of different points depending
Would,
if.
would it count if
but this one's really
you
heavy weighted
went in
too.
from like this side?
I don't want the teams to miss out on
Any way
this,
you
it's
act-
so
you
easy.
can activate
That's
it
what
any
we're
way you
doing
want.
for one of
points.
our methods.
Doing it?
Yeah, any way that you activate it, make her swing. The key is just to.
I'm
make
just
her swing.
worried teams are gonna do
Okay.
this swing and leave all these points here, and the team that just pushes those in is gonna
It'd be great though, just to do a few
What
examples
we're
to make sure we're
doing for
counting right.
this and for that one.
Yeah, because I tried using the apps.
Yeah, if we have time, can we do some examples of scoring this one, cause there's a lot of gray area in here.
Let's go through and finish the rest of the missions, and we'll go back to that one
Yeah,
if there are
let's-
any questions.
Okay, and then let's come back with some scoring examples of this to make sure we all
I thought it was
agree.
live.
Because there's 50 million possibilities with that mission.
Yeah, yeah, you go,
Like, the
you
kids
go.
have to figure out what the highest scoring is, and if they're betting their game on that, they need to know. Yeah, we'll come back and we'll score, do a bunch of
The
examples.
color matching and the actual scoring values of your heights are
super
scored
weighted.
completely separately in the score sheets. They're completely separate missions, actually, technically, according to first. So they're just done completely individually.
So just a quick pop back, I've only got a couple more to go. The sustainable, upgrades, again, I'll make it easy and look at it, that supported by one stack. And you can have as many as you want in the same circle, but as long as they are supported by one, if I do this, that doesn't count because it's not supported by, there's
I mean,
technically two stacks.
It counts, but it counts as one stack rather than
stack,
two
not-
individual stacks.
Yeah. So you can't get bonus points for, well, I got sustainable on 2. There's only one per supported by one stack. Okay. Again, we briefly talked about the precision points. Unlike past years where they were, they're the red cubes in the corner. They're looking more for precision. Every team starts with 6 on the field. If you don't touch your robot or interrupt your robot, that's 60 points. But if you interrupt your robot once, you lose 15 points. The second time you interrupt it, it's another 15 points.
Third
So
time,
for
10.
10, 5, 5. So they really want teams not to interrupt their robot this year. Okay?
Sorry, and by interrupting, you mean having to go to the field to pick it up or stop it or touch it?
If your robot doesn't make it back to base,
Home.
home, sorry,
To home.
home, anything in your home, must be completely in home. Again, if I'm a robot, I'm bringing this back. So an interruption would be, if I say I'm bringing these guys back for whatever reason, and my robot stops there because I have all kinds of stuff in there, and my robot can't get into home, whatever's made it into home, you keep. As soon as you touch your robot, one precision point lost. But you keep everything that's in home stays in home.
I just have a quick question, sorry I was late. Is home the whole back area?
Home is this whole section.
So even if your robot drives into home, you can grab it?
Yes, you must.
Your robot has to drive
Has to drive to
You
home.
can't go back into the
Launch.
launch area?
Launch is only for launch.
Really?
Launch is only for launch.
This is huge, yeah, way different from last year.
Did I miss something?
It's at the very beginning.
Yes.
Today?
Yeah, it's on video, we were recording it, but again, the difference is that if I've just shown that these pieces are all in home and you keep them, if your robot makes it and you interrupted, your robot's half in, but this piece, or this cargo, is not in, interrupt the robot, you lose his penalty, referee takes it off the table. So if it doesn't make it back in. Yes?
So, let's say you had like that big pile of stuff and your robot's like still trying to get in, can you move it and then allow it to get in and with that count?
You can't interrupt the robot, that's,
No, yeah, he's asking, can you move the blocks and stuff out of home?
if
Well, like
they're,
to the
trans-
side, and then like allow
if they're
it to
not
go.
transporting it, if the robot's transporting it, you can't touch it. But if they're just sitting here and your robot's coming in,
But it's
whatever you gotta do to get it out of the way, this is your area.
You can touch anything in home.
Anytime.
At any time.
Anytime.
It's just, what I just did may knock an elevator or something.
And hopefully you're a little more organized than he is.
Yes, it's been a few years since I've done Lego, so.
Something a lot of the kids will really want to watch the robot do the mission, but there's some other things that you want to be doing, getting your attachments ready, making sure that there's a path clear for the robot. You have that time while your robot's doing that mission to do that. It'll take a little time, a little bit of practice to get them to get comfortable kind of doing other things while the robot's doing that, but that's your time to go and move things out of the way.
If the robot is trying to get in home and it's pushing on, say, an attachment that's in the way, and it's still moving, is that considered an interruption?
If you're,
So right now, say I've got unlimited driving forward, right? He's driving forward, this is holding him out of base, right? If I move this while he's pushing on it, is that an interruption?
yes, if your robot is touching anything, it becomes, as soon as your robot touches something, it technically becomes cargo. You keep that. It's
Even
cargo.
if it's in home base.
Even if it's home base. But what happens is you've interrupted the robot by moving that out of the way, because it'd be the same as if you're pushing a great big piece of cargo all the way back and bringing the field back, and it can't fit. And again, first was really, they were looking at having smaller robots. They're giving you smaller spaces. If you'll notice, past years, you had the full field. Now you only have 80% of the field, but now you have your home base area to play with.
Something to note too, just in a general, there isn't a whole lot of obstacles on the field to be bringing back to base too, so that's just something.
Okay, I got a stumper for you. Could the robot come back, run a mission, come and grab something in the home and keep going?
Sure.
As long as you don't touch it.
You don't touch it.
As long as you don't touch it, it can keep.
I have no idea why you'd want to do that, but
That's some precision
It'd be-
driving.
That's very good programming.
Yes,
I'd love to see it.
and not touch
you can continue on to
anything
his second mission.
while it's in home.
Grab another
You can
stack
grab,
and keep
yeah,
going.
you can grab
Yeah,
another stack.
as long as you can.
I've never seen it before. but
You
yeah,
could preset.
potentially
You could preset it and have it to come up, and then you know, maybe a team would come through, do this mission, come back, pick up some more stuff, do the mission, keep running those loops. So yeah, question.
Just making sure we're still only 2 technicians as a board at a time.
2 technicians.
And can they switch out through?
They can switch out as often as they'd like. Again, we always remind teams that it's two technicians and you only have 2.5 minutes. So, but we love seeing all the students up. You know, I've got some teams that have the 2. We've got 5 missions and each student is going to do it. I mean, that's awesome. We love it. We love to see the involvement. You know, my personal comment on that is that the more students that you have involved, the more they all learn. Any other questions? I'll just go over some. So again, with the field, again, no more boxes beside the field. Everything goes into home. And you've got either your small inspection station or your large inspection station. Once again, you have a 12-inch ceiling across the top, as well as a 12-inch ceiling on the launch area. So everything must fit inside that area. Once you've passed initial inspection, small area, large area. Important though, if your robot and all your components fit inside the small area, 5 bonus points on every mission. Every mission that you accomplish. Extra 5 points for each mission. Each mission. So
If you start with,
inside the small area. And there's a red mark on every field that designates that.
It's not start, it's, so you come to the field, you put all your stuff, you jam it all into that small section, and then you go get the ref to check it before the match even starts, and we go, yep, and we go, good, we check it off, then you can expand into the whole section. So it's actually before the match, it's a separate thing that just gets you automatic 5 bonus points for all missions.
every mission.
Every mission.
Yeah. All your equipment. Again, jigs must be completely inside the launch area. You cannot be touching your jig when you launch. Okay, so your robot's launched, the only thing you can touch is the button to press. You can remove your jig beforehand, but if you don't,
Is the jig allowed to be in the home? No.
don't. It must
Only
be.
on the whites? Okay,
It must
sorry.
be completely inside the jig, the
That
launch
side,
area.
Not on the side.
Yes, you can.
Redoing everything.
So I can have
Goes
my.
faster the second time.
Again, I can have my jig let up, if this is my jig, and my robot is ready to go, and I use that for lining up, and I go, good, I launch.
So the jig can't be touching as you go, like, if I don't touch the jig, but the robot's touching the jig, that doesn't count?
You can leave your jig in,
Yeah,
but again, once you launch,
yeah.
you can't take your jig back out afterwards.
Ever.
Well, until your robot is back at home.
Back at home.
Okay.
And then you're resetting everything so you can go back into launch. Once your robot returns to home, you can go back into launch again.
So it's similarly that you have access to the home the whole time, but the only time you have access to the launch area is once your robot is at the start, or once your robot returns, or you interrupt your robot, then you can touch that. Because technically, if your robot's out here,
That's part of the deal.
I think this is part of the field, if you grab that, my little red friend is gonna come into play.
Now, can we always have to launch from the launch area, or can we launch from home?
No, always, this is the only area you can launch your robot from.
But even as the mission goes on, every time it comes back home, I gotta grab it from home, put it in the launch, and then
area.
launch it again.
Yeah, because again, what they've done is the whole field, but you must be in the map to play. So home is not part of the map, so you're inside this area. Again, they're talking about not touching anything. So
It does give teams, they all should get home. You just aim for that wall and you give it.
Yeah, I know, but we
So-
don't, I know, but we, like,
Yeah.
we're so used to coming back.
We're so used to it, I was,
And now, like, I don't know what, yeah. so
and
everything's different.
and even online, I see people, they still come through the launch area to come home.
yes,
But no, you can come home over in the corner there.
Yeah,
you
you
can
can
cross
cross
the-
what you want.
But it has to be 100% across that line.
yes. So you can do,
And the kids, they can't grab it until it crosses. Watch the kids, they wanna grab that robot for the next
Well, they're gonna
mission.
be so used to grabbing in the light, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
and they're gonna wanna grab it
and that's
before.
every so often first
Changes
things just to keep things interesting, which is great.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting and make it fun to watch, but as long as all the teams are aware of changing the rules.
Yes, exactly, is why we.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I might have stepped out for a sec there, but the white building that's in like a part of the game
No,
field,
just to the,
can we move this?
Yes.
This one?
apparently it's in the rules.
Sorry,
we
no,
just
the building that's sitting in the
don't
white
read-
circle.
Oh, this guy
Yeah.
read it well,
Yes.
but-
So it's a gimme 10 points, am I
Yes.
understanding
It's
that correctly?
5, but yes.
Oh, 5, it's a
Five.
5, okay, so it's
Actually, no,
just,
sorry, it's 10, because it's a color match kill.
Right.
okay, so okay, that's what
It
we
is a
thought,
10.
yeah.
It's a 10.
So it's 10 points if we leave it alone,
Yes.
can we sustainability upgrade that one?
Sure,
Okay,
yeah. Yeah, it's there.
So it's already in the field?
It's already in the field, so.
You start the match with 80 points.
80
right.
points.
Which is
That's
the
including
points.
that, that's including your red pieces. And if you start in the small area,
Everything
that's,
fits, you get,
yeah,
okay.
you get your 5-point bonus, so 5-point bonus for that, so that's 15, plus your 5, so you're 80.
So I'm going to just, I wasn't going to mention, but I will bring it up, is that at the beginning of a match,
You guys are starting.
and it's not what I, if you start the match and your robot starts here, and you leave that there, and all your position points are sitting there, that's 80 points. Without doing anything. That's
Just a
not how
robot
we-
sitting there.
That's not
That's it.
we want all teams to score. So again, the more we interrupt the robot, the more chance you points start to come down. And hopefully you're scoring other points.
So I guess our question was, so we understood correctly, we get 10 points for that if you do nothing. But if it's in our way, can we move it and then move it back?
Sure. You
Or
can do anything.
not?
If you-
Sorry, is it actually 20 points, just to be sure?
Yeah, it's, yes.
It's a color match.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's 20, not 10?
It's 20.
It's a color match,
And it's,
plus it's one level, plus if you started in your small inspection area, 5 points. So it's, just so you understand, I think
Yeah.
it's 20 points
yeah, it is
If
20
you do
points.
nothing.
if you
Or
don't touch
move
it.
and put it back.
If you move it and put it back, so that may affect your
Yes.
decision, that's all.
Right.
So again, the robot, one controller, any combination of four motors. We will clarify that on whether you can bring multiple motors. They do say only 4 motors. And I'll ask First Canada about that, whether you can bring all.
Yeah,
but it
yeah, I've
says
had that question
4.
from this is the second team.
So I
so-
will get back on that to the multiple motors. Again, independent is independently supported. It has to be independent. So, again, independent, not independent bridged.
That's more points like that.
Yeah, so I'm just going through a rule of that, so independent meaning that's independent. That's, oops. That's on the bridge supported. Not on the bridge supported. What they're saying is that if you have anything on the bridge and it's not 100%, it's not supported by the bridge, if I take it away, if I were to take the tree away, your robot would fall. So it's not supported, even though technically it's like, well, it's still on the bridge. But if I take the tree away, then it's no longer on the bridge. Again, all scoring at the end of the match. So if you've got this elevator activated with 2 minutes left, somebody bumps it, your robot hits it, it descores. There's nothing we can do, that's just at the end of the match. Again, benefit of the doubt. Any damage to the field will not score. Like that. You'll descore. Again, 2 technicians. Again, referee, no video. If you have a video and you believe that the referee may have made a mistake, the technicians can come and talk to the ref. They can talk to the head ref. But we will not have any, we can't have any video. I videotaped the match and nope, not acceptable.
We can videotape the match.
You can videotape the match for
No
winning,
asking for plays.
but I'm told, like I will tell you right off the get-go, if it's from first says, if somebody has a camera, and I've been head ref for a while, and I go, I saw, you didn't give me point 4. Sorry, I says, I can only talk to the 2 technicians. And the referee, there's lots of referees, we're all approachable. We'll probably have more funny hats than this. but it's all about fun. Again, your best match counts. So not match upon match upon match. You wanna have, you get 4 chances, Heather?
Yeah,
4 matches?
yeah, 4.
Plus you get some practices. So we hope the practices aren't your highest scoring.
Yeah.
That's the way it usually goes. but-
Yeah.
So again, so it's 1 match, the best, and that's how it scores in related, in combination with your project. I looked up field robot, but the project is really, really important.
Yeah, and this year actually all parts are equally counted. It used to be that your robot points was a little bit more, I don't know how to explain it all, but now project core values, robot points, and robot design are all equal amounts.
Oh, they're all equal?
Yeah.
All equal issue.
Last year it was if you had to be in the top 75% in order to go to provincials in your robot, despite how well you did in the
That's still-
project. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
it's still part of that,
Okay.
but it's equally weighed now in regards to,
Like your overall score, it's equally divided between each of
Okay.
them, like 25%, 25%.
Right, but if you
for all
walk
4.
the 3 and not the games,
Right,
then you can't.
then, yeah, it all comes down.
so
Yeah.
all those that need to work on your project, work on that project.
No pressure.
Everybody likes the robot. Other than we'll do some breakouts, but we're probably gonna wrap up the precision. But again, game updates, Kale's been flashing game updates. Check your game updates all the time. They change. These manuals are great, but they were printed 6 months ago. So great manual, but check the updates because they give lots of descriptions, especially with moving things, where you can't lock in, because when they first came out, even on the bridge, they had teams that would come in, lock the robot in, drive across, technically, so they would drive across, lock in. Good luck, I've got both flags, you're not getting in.
If anybody's having trouble finding the stuff, in the video description, which I'll give a link to Heather to send out to everybody, in the description there is links to both First in General's website and to the FLL Challenge website, where you can go down, you can have all the PDF documents of everything, and you'll be able to go right there and get access to that.
So on that, have fun, enjoy. Anything else? I guess that's about it. Yeah.
No.
Good.
Thank you, Head Ref Wallingford. Good job. Woo. Is everybody?
History has always showed us a path forward. From a long time ago to the present day, our world has seen thousands of cities grow, thrive, and change over time. While civilization has given us a blueprint for how we construct our cities and our environment, it is up to us to forge our own destinies. In Star Wars, there's a belief that even one person's actions can make a significant difference to the entire galaxy. Now it's your turn to shape our growing first city for the better. Let's explore the evolution of cities past and see what we can learn from them. As First City booms and faces challenges for its future existence, your mission is to be a force for change and create solutions to help transportation, the environment, and new buildings to make our home last for over 1,000 generations. Together, we rise. The 2019-2020 First LEGO League season